Welcome back to our channel, and thank you for tuning in and thank you for supporting us. But if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please encourage us by doing so that we can bring you the latest news as they come up. And together, we shall support our great leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, IPOB, and Eastern Security Network to make our Biafran dream a reality. The Fulani Sultan of Sokoto wept and blamed Abubakar Malami, the Fulani terrorist Minister of Injustice, for recruiting Buhari impostor from Niger Republic. He said that now Nigeria has been kicked out of the United Nations because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case, and that Fulani agenda has come to an end. That Buhari, that Malami had to hire, destroyed the Fulani plans. That because of his stubbornness, Buhari impostor refused to do the needful. In the first place, he was not supposed to kidnap Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but he went ahead. According to reports, Bruce Fein, the United States-based counsel for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the detained IPOB leader, has again written to the International Working Group over the continued incarceration of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, despite committing no offense against Nigerian Constitution or international laws. In its report on July 20, the United Nations group described Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's extraordinary rendition from Kenya in June 2021 as illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional extradition. It also called for the immediate release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and compensate him, that is, and compensation by the Nigerian Fulani government and the Kenyan government for the way he was treated. Bruce Fein urged the United Nations group to recommend that the United Nations Security Council should consider suspending Nigeria from the United Nations for allegedly violating the principles of the United Nations Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Bruce Fein said it is against international law for a nation to kidnap, torture, and then subject a citizen to an extraordinary rendition to a different nation while traveling. The letter read, "This letter chronicles the continuing contemptuous defiance of this group's 20th July 2022 opinion regarding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by the Fulani Nigerian government. The chief culprits are the Nigerian president, Buhari impostor, and the Minister of Injustice, Abubakar Malami. The opinion requested the source to update the working group on the government's compliance. Paragraph 111. The opinion found that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's detention following kidnapping, torture, and extraordinary rendition violates 16 international human rights covenants. And paragraph 105, the opinion called on the Fulani Nigerian government to take urgent action to ensure the immediate, unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Since the opinion was issued 3 months ago, the Fulani Nigerian government has steadfastly refused to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They have refused to release him. From their indefinite arbitrary detention in a solitary confinement without access to necessary and urgent medical care. My brothers and my sisters, you can see how evil and wicked the Fulani Nigerian governments are, and how their hatred for Biafra is. I keep wondering how Biafrans, especially in Igbo, that are supporting the Fulani Janjaweed, how they sleep. I can't get it. The Fulani's government open and notorious lawlessness has been compounded by its equal scorn for an October 13, 2022 decision by the Court of Appeal of Nigeria, Abuja Judicial Division, holding at Abuja, among other things, the decision held that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's extraordinary rendition from Kenya by the Fulani terrorist Nigerian government was illegal. But the Minister of Injustice, Abubakar Malami, nevertheless has refused to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from detention in violation of the Court of Appeal decree, which constitutes the crime of false imprisonment by the Attorney General himself. They were hoping that Biafrans would protest in all over Southeast so that they can unleash their Fulani terrorist soldiers and their helicopter gunship on innocent Biafrans and kill them. That was their plan. But their plans failed. It failed woefully. And they were not happy. And that was why they got angry and approached the Supreme Court to help them out. They had to force the Supreme Court to accept the case. Supreme Court threw out the case, but they forced and threatened the justices as Supreme Court. Accordingly, Mr. Bruce Fein has told the United Nations that Nigerian governments must be held liable. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, respectively, urges the working group of the United Nations to inform the Human Rights Council of Nigerians' violation of the above referenced opinion and several or serial violations of law generally as regards Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu further urges the United Nations group to recommend that the United Nations Security Council consider suspending the notorious Nigerian government and Nigeria from the United Nations for persistently violating the principles of United Nations Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is unconditionally released as mandated by both international and Nigerian law. You can imagine the Fulani terrorist sponsor of Fulani bandits that was deported from a country recently, and the criminal DSS claimed that they arrested him. Nobody hears about the case anymore. It has been swept under the carpet. That man is walking freely in northern Nigeria, walking freely with his boys, his terrorist boys. South Africa was similarly suspended by the United Nations General Assembly over its apartheid policies. International peace and security are threatened if a nation with impunity is permitted to kidnap, torture, and then subject to extraordinary rendition a citizen of a different nation while traveling abroad. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a citizen of the United Kingdom who was kidnapped and tortured by the Fulani Nigerian government while traveling in Kenya before his lawless extraordinary rendition took place. My brothers and my sisters, enough is enough. The Fulani Janjaweed must stop all this oppression. And Biafran governors and politicians must learn how to support their own. They must learn it. Or else they're going to cause a lot of problems. And that was why 11 Igbo senators demanded Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release and have called on the Fulani Nigerian jihadist government to obey the court ruling of the Court of Appeal. These Southeast senators waited until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was acquitted by the appeal court before coming out to throw their useless support, which they intend to use as a campaign strategy for 2023. What a shame. Biafran politicians are big shame to Biafrans. Thank you, my brothers and my sisters, for watching this video. And bye-bye for now.